And what you have just seen is one of the forum that we have organized in 2025 for mainstreaming the sectors. So as you can see from the videos, actually under the 13 Malaysia plan, which is starting from 2026 to 2030, third sector have a big role to play. And this is the reason why we started this webinar, and we are inviting a lot of our strategy partners, our our friends in the third sectors, especially in the social work arena, to actually come and share best practices and also to learn with one another. And happy today that we have our strategy partners from the Persatuan Pekerja Prihatin, Pekerja Social Christian Malaysia, and being our co-organizer or resource person to actually make this happen. And together I see Dr. Teo, our president of Malaysian Association of Social Workers. The last webinar was delivered by Dr. Teo and it's really impressive. So Dr. Teo, I'm not sure whether I have informed you, after your presentation, we make an infographic and someone from the newsletter actually approached us and then to publish it in the newsletter about the content of the webinar. So I do believe that with what we are doing now, we are trying to drive the dynamic, the social work, to prepare ourselves to be to be professional and to serve the country better and without burnout. I say to be sustainable. So today the topic is on operating a sustainable organizations. And in the second part of the program, we will have Puan Rajani from MCKL. So she will share with us how to actually prepare yourself to be professional and to have structured training so that we can really be good in supporting the community work. All right, so today's sessions will be quite short because today also we consider we take into account that it's a Friday prayer meeting, so we'll have around until 12:15. But these sessions first will be recorded, so later on we will put in the YouTube for those who couldn't join us online, and second we will convert the content to infographic so that more people can benefit from the content. But for those you who join online, I can see you in the chat box, in the participants list. We have Asha, Atika, Dustin, Irene, Jimmy, Khairuddin, Linda, Rosalie, Ruzani, Sheng Ho, and also Teo. As a person who will joining online, you have the privilege to actually communicate and interact with our resource person. So I strongly encourage you first to type out your name and also your organization. So this is a good airtime to publicity for the work that you are doing. And secondly, along the journey, if you have any questions, most welcome to put in the chat. All right. Then we will answer and interact with you. Do you guys have IG? Okay. And we are still in building it up. We are in Facebook, but so far is building up on the IG. All right. We will have more social media campaigns on. All right, so it's 11:07. So without further ado, I would like to invite our first speakers of the day, Mr. Joshua. Okay, a little bit of background of Mr. Joshua. He is the Director of Service Department and Community Development at Setapak and Malaysia. And he is focused in designing innovative and also community-driven solutions. What is that I really look forward to hear, to learn about is how you actually integrate AI in your community work. It's very fascinating. We know that AI has been a super powerful tool now. But how it's actually applied to our work is something that interesting to explore perhaps together later. But also very important is the lesson learned in driving a sustainable organizations. As today, he is also represent Malaysia Care. As we know that Malaysia Care has been established since 1979. It's over 50 years of organizations. It's like a mid-age person now. Okay, and I believe that it's already go through a lot of soul searching, developing. It's now how to maintain it, get it like for a long-term impact. This is what we really want to do, and we want to see that our work is not one shot, but is for a long-term sustainability. So today's sessions will focus on the lesson learned. All right, so without further ado, I will hand over to Mr. Joshua to introduce more about the organizations PPPP, SKM, Malaysia Care, and the lesson learned. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Zoel, and thank you everyone for joining today's session. I'm very encouraged to see how this platform came about to inspire and encourage others. And I think that's really the lesson we learned about sustainability, the need to collaborate, the need to share resources with one another as well to sustain for the long run. Now, just a quick introduction. I think Zoel has introduced me as well, but I thought to introduce a bit about Malaysian Care and PPP SKM. So for those who may not be familiar, Malaysian Care is a non-profit organization focused on serving and empowering the marginalized communities in Malaysia. We have been around actually since 1979, started from a very small home actually. And today our work spans across 3 key areas, including the rural-urban community development, people with prison drugs, HIV and AIDS, and people with disabilities. And I think along the years in being Malaysian Care, we are really grateful to be part of various networks. And one such alliances that I want to share today is PPP-SKM, which stands for Persatuan Pekerja Prihatin dan Pekerja Sosial Kristen Malaysia. And this is an alliance where Christian social workers and caregivers in Malaysia journey alongside with each others in the field to collaborate, to learn, and to advocate for the purpose of strengthening social work practices. And this alliance is also one of the joint working committee program partners for the Diploma in Social Work in MCKL. And we contribute alongside with other alliances as well in developing the next generation of practitioners. And competency is really important to navigate unique challenges in today's social work field. The title of my sharing today is Operating a Sustainable Organizations, Lesson to Learn. And before I begin, I thought it'd be helpful for me to position myself. I've been in community development for many years, 11 years this year. But in this season, I thought I am in the process of learning what it really means to operate a sustainable organization. So I'm not here really as someone who has figured it all out, but rather what I want to do today is to share with each and every one of us the things that we have learned together with our management team in Care, with our board members and our team members in Malaysian Care. And I hope that today's sharing can inspire us to think about what it means to be sustainable and why do we sustain as well. Let me begin with a story. And I want to invite each of us to look at this picture that I will share now. That's my son, Lemuel. And that is me in my office. And this is one of those days, where we had really a lot of work to do. But I also had my son with me at work. I bring him to work once in a while, and he works together with me to do the community development work in Setapak. And if you have ever been in this situation as a parent, you will know. Such situation, everything feels important. You want to finish your work, but you also want to be present with your child. And both feels very urgent. At night, the battle as a parent is equally the same. We want to get things done as much as possible by the end of every night. You want to finish your child's homework. You want to do the chores. You also want to rest. And everything screams out to you for attention. And the concern at the back of our mind is if we do not do one thing, it piles up the next day and the next day and the next day. I think as I was preparing for this session, I think leading a sustainable organization can feel very much the same way. Everything feels important for sustainability. Everything feels like we need to do. But the reality is it's not possible to do everything. For an organization, a non-profit like Malaysian Care, it's good to do everything, but it is not possible. And so we have to make hard decisions and streamline to what is really important for us to sustain in the long run. And even among leaders, sometimes we don't always agree on what is most important. For some, it is funding. For some, it is staffing. For some, it is competency. For some, it is organizational structure sustainability. There is so many things to look into. And moments like this are where we begin truly to learn what sustainability means uniquely for us in Malaysian Care. And one of the first things we began to realize was that many of us, including myself, honestly, we equate sustainability with funding. More money lasts longer. Really straightforward. More money lasts longer. And I think this is really interesting because I know from my own experience as well. Sometimes I engage with other organizations. Sometimes we try to understand each other's secret so that we can learn to adapt and apply for our own funding as well. And I can remember a very uncomfortable interaction with another organization where we both tried to understand each other's secret, but we were also very guarded with it. And I think having such a thought that sustainability equals to funding, when this happens a lot, what happens is that we begin to compete, create a competing culture among other organizations, other associations, for the very same limited resources, donors, and attention. I think that becomes a problem for us in care. Because in care, we say we value collaboration and partnership. We say that we value working together with others. And we cannot understand how that will work out if we are competing with the people that we are ought to collaborate and to share resources with. And I think this dilemma forces us to think if funding is all that is important for sustainability. We also draw a lot on the wisdom of those who came before us in care to ask ourselves this question also. Is funding all that is important for them to sustain? Do they think about funding as much as us, really? And I think this realization that we need to rethink sustainability matured over time. And I think that happens a lot through much reflection by asking hard questions to each other and hearing from one another, most importantly. And that is what I'm very grateful for in care, that we have leaders who see different perspectives and hear from one another and shape our thoughts and action plans together as a team. So as we learn from one another, our ideas, our conversation also revolve about other things that matters for sustainability in care, especially on what we value as an organization, things like collaboration. So eventually the question is no longer just about how can we find more fund, how many donors can we get, but rather I think the conversation stir a lot towards how can we sustain in an organizational way and have that collaboration in place, not in a competitive way. And I think when we think about that way, it is so much of a relief because we no longer have to react with urgency, with this fear that our funding is going to run dry, but rather we let our values shape how we sustain. And how that looks like for us practically in Malaysian care, one way we see how values shape our sustainability was through this idea of engaging Malaysians diaspora. So instead of just looking at our local donor pool, we began to ask, what about Malaysians living, working abroad? And I think this idea came because we realized many Malaysians overseas still care deeply about Malaysia, including some of our former staff. No matter how far they go, they will always remember Malaysia as their home. And we asked this simple question, who else cares about Malaysia the most and its community the most, if not Malaysians themselves? And I think that is such a breath of relief because now it's not just about seeing people as a funding opportunity. We saw this as an opportunity for Malaysians abroad, outside of Malaysia, overseas, to now join hand in hand together with all of us in building the nation. That's so relief and such a refreshing way to look at it because now people abroad can be part of nation building as well. But I think values, again, is very important. As we engage new donors abroad, it's also important for us not to lose our local identity as we pursue new donors. It can be very tempting, I would say, to just go full on, reach every single donor that you can, every international donor, every ang mo you can find, just get them, just throw a big net. Very tempting to do that, but we didn't go down this route, thankfully. I think we are very focused with our key value, and that is to reach out to Malaysians primarily. And by doing so, I think we didn't lose the heart and the soul of Malaysian care. That is really who is responsible to building the nations, Malaysian really. And that's the message we communicate as we search out for the donors overseas. And this is one thing that we learn a lot in care, that the organization's mission, its values are not separate from sustainability. Oftentimes when we think about sustainability, we think about plans and strategy, and those are important. But many times it is so many things to choose from. And what would help us in making those hard decisions is that value. So as we ground ourselves on what mattered to us, we learn that we don't need to be reactive to fear as well, that one day we run out of resources, but we can be very intentional to align our sustainability step towards making care sustainable. So while we pursue for sustainability, we can make it meaningful as well. Another thought I have as well is that an organization, I think, that abandons, I think, its values. I feel that is very tragic as well, because resources, while they are very much needed, but if you lose the soul of the organization in pursuit of funding, then it really loses something that is very difficult to replace, if not impossible. The value must remain true to the action of sustainability. And so if you value, and if our values shape sustainability, then I think another thing is that they must also shape how we treat people. Now, again, good management, good planning, good operation, all of this matters for sustainability. But I think if you are not careful, we may begin to see people only through that lens. So with an example I shared earlier, if you view sustainability as being all about good financial management only, then everything gets evaluated from that lens, and it includes people as well. People slowly becomes only about cost or whether they perform efficiently. I think in care, I personally had to relearn how I view my own team as well, in the concern of making my organization sustainable. And very importantly, to clarify the why behind sustainability. I think there was a lot of point in time in the past I prioritized sustainable measures over people. And while it made sense on paper, it made sense in strategy, it didn't turn out well with my own team member. And I want to be clear, accountability matters. Staff performance, program effectiveness, all of this must be upheld, because I think this reflects our commitment to the mission and vision. But on the other hand, we need to remember as well that people need space and time to grow, especially in the field of non-profit or community development like Malaysian care, where the risk of burnout, compassion fatigue is very high. And what we come to learn is this: sustainability must be purpose-driven. It really must have a purpose. It's not just about choosing good practices or choosing people, but really just navigating the tension between these two. What is needed by the organization and what is also needed by the people in the organization. So at the end of the day, our sustainability plan achieved two things, and two at the heart of it. Sorry. First, the fulfillment of the mission, that we last long to be able to fulfill the mission. But as we fulfill that mission, we also want to make sure that the people who are doing the mission, the staff, the volunteers, the donors, they flourish as well in the process. And how this looks like for us in care is really by, firstly, developing leadership. I think one of the most people-centered thing a leader can do for structural sustainability is refuse to make themselves indispensable. And I think this is something we learned the hard way. We have great leaders in the past, but many things were not passed on, unfortunately. And this is something we have to learn firsthand. That in order for the organization to sustain meaningfully for the long run, leaders must place their team member, must grow and invest time with them, and to teach and guide and build the competency. Time is needed to grow sustainability, and we must invest in people. Perhaps another way as well is to let go as well. Sometimes the most caring thing we can do is to acknowledge a person can flourish better in being at a different place, different organization. And this is one area I struggled the most in letting go, especially some of my team members who are really good, but we find because maybe there is a mismatch of role, that maybe a better place, a different place that matches better with their role, they may flourish better there. And why this is important for us today is that, number one, the person can grow. And number two, the ecosystem, the wider ecosystem is not just about Malaysian care anymore. The wider ecosystem, different organization and the whole non-profit sector benefits from it as well, when the right people are placed at the right role. Another way we let go is also by letting go of resources to people or places that will need it much more. And this includes sharing of knowledge through training of trainers in Malaysian care. We emphasize that a lot. And in certain cases, even funding as well to organizations who needs it. It's interesting to think about it. how we sustain in care is actually by giving out and not hoarding resources as well. Because I think we believe also that when we empower others, when we collaborate with others, again, the entire ecosystem can better sustain and benefit everyone in the field. The third area of how we do this is collaborate. And I think we all know the importance of collaboration. It's more on the humility to acknowledge I don't know everything. And we need one another. We need one another, really. And especially in times like this where trends and so many things, like for example, Zoel was speaking about AI. We are not experts of AI. I tried and failed so many times. But that's where collaboration must come in. So we learn from one another and journey together. And the last thing I think is distinct in care is gratitude. I think part of sustainable action is to take a pause and appreciate the things that we have, the people that we have today. And last time we have so many donors, but we don't know the donors really. I think today we also learn from our mistake that donors, volunteers, these are all people at heart as well. And how do we care for the community so much and yet not remember the donors and the volunteer? So today, what we actually did was we actually had a lot of visitation to our donors, volunteer, journeying with them in their life as well, understanding where they are from, the struggles of their life. And sometimes we are also very involved in sometimes the crises they face in their life as well. Because I think that reflects truly to our value again, people. I think the end goal of sustainability should flourish people and not the other way around. Many times we try to fit people into plans, sustainability plan, and then the plans get flourish, not the people. But it should be the other way around. I think we cannot build something that lasts as well by ourselves. We must have a foundation of people who felt they're cared for, who felt heard, and the right people in the right role. My last point is a shared responsibility. If it is true that sustainability cannot be built alone, then sustainable organization must also involve everyone in the organization. The efforts are not limited to just one person or one team. I have to confess, whenever last time we think about sustainability, we only refer to the fundraising team or the communication team or our big boss, ED. This one is their job. I just need to do the operational work, just do the community work. I love doing that. And I think that's also a point for me to learn. That's not true at all. This is really not true at all. Everyone is in this boat together to sustain the organization. So while we look outward to expand the ecosystem of our resources, we also let to look inward and ask ourselves one question, a very hard question. Are we actually good stewards of the resources that we have? Do we do our part or not? As all the team do the hard work, reaching out to new donors and so on and so forth, do we do our part internally to take care of those resources? So if we say we value sustainability, we say we value stewardship, then I think we must put our money where our mouth is, starting all the way from leadership. So in care, how this looks like is really interesting. We start something as simple as resource usage. We monitor things like electric use, right? And what we really do as a whole organization is to remind each other to turn off the light when no one is using, turn off the aircon when no one is using, something as small as that. But it is no longer just me alone, but all of us. And I think the beauty of it is that it starts with the leadership. So we allow ourselves, our team member, to even come and approach us and sometimes scold us as well. Scold me. I know my team members scold me as well. Say, why you never off the cold way water on the weekend, or why you never off the aircon, and things like that. I think that kind of transparency and that kind of accountability helps a lot to build that kind of culture in care. Another way that we were also improving was our budgeting as well, to be really responsible with our budget, because oftentimes in operational work, we increase the budget on a year-to-year basis and without much thought as well for us in care. And so now we are very intentional with the budgeting to really ask, is this necessary? Is this important? So that ultimately, what we want to give out is truly adding value to the mission and vision of care. But of course, this don't happen overnight. It happens with a lot of reminders, with a lot of holding hands, a lot of encouragement as well. Another way that we also improve or involve as a shared responsibility is through our board members. Our board members comprise of various diverse professions, and that's one thing I really love about care. And every once in a while, they will come together to really advise and guide us based on their expertise on what we can do better in the governance and management of care as well. And that helps a lot for us to be able to improve our stewardship as a whole organization. So it's really everyone coming together from simple steps that we can do today and building those from a day-to-day basis. It's really not complex for us, but we start from simple steps. My thoughts here is that fundraising brings resources, yes. But I think the organizational culture, how the team comes together, will determine whether those resources last or whether those resources are spent meaningfully. It's not just about keeping resources for ourselves, but it's also equally important to spend those resources, but to spend it meaningfully, wisely, and that builds everyone else as well in the process. We need one another to sustain. We really need one another. Perhaps let me end with a closing thought as I will close my session here. I think sustainability is not just about existing for a long time. This is my personal thought. Because as I prepare for this, I think a lot about why actually do we want to last long? Why do we want to stay so long for? Because I think we can exist long meaninglessly, or we can sustain meaningfully. And if given a choice where we have to sustain on a year-to-year basis, come together and face the hard question. But if we can do that meaningfully every year, or say versus a miracle donor come and give 5 million every year, and I don't need to think about sustainability at all, so to say, I'd much prefer to have meaning in the sustenance than just lasting long without meaning. I learned in care that it was actually our values that led us through some of the most difficult crises that we faced in the past that really threatens our sustainability at its core. But it was the value that guides our decision making, number one. But our values also bring us together as a team when we don't have the answer. We learn to trust in one another. We learn to ask, what can we do, each of us together, to face through and go through this difficult time? That value really brings us together. If there's one takeaway I might suggest before thinking or refining about our own organizational sustainable strategy, perhaps is to start by clarifying what you truly value. So let me leave you perhaps with this question for reflection. What do you or what do your organization value the most? Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much, Joshua. I personally feel a lot of inspiration and insights. If you have the same feeling like me, please give your virtual clap and also your response. Feel like I'm listening to someone who really went through the journey and look back. A lot of time we are anticipating, we are assuming this will work, that will work. But by listening to what you have shared just now, it's like a elderly, no, yeah, not, yes, young, but the institute have the institute memory and wisdom that actually reflect back. It's not just about money. Money is important to start to keep the operation. But later on, you have the money, do you have the first people? You have the people, do you have to keep your value? Your origins heart is still there. And sometimes I think you might agree with me that we have a lot of good distraction. Too many of opportunity until okay, do I have enough time to do it? And another thing I personally get very much inspired is how you make sustainability so grounded in daily life that of the electric, be a good steward, while the whole sharing is without using the word of SDG and ESG. Well, a lot of people is claiming about ESG, ESG, SDG, but it seems like just a framework.
If I can add to that as well, just a quick one. So I remember one of our new staff who just came recently to CARE. He came for an interview, and the first statement that he gave to us when he came to our office was, "Why the office so dark?" And I think we get that a lot. It's like, why Malaysia can't pay electric bill or something like that. And I think that is one thing that we really share with the team members also about how important it is for us to steward creation, steward the resource that we have. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really great. And thank you, Irene, for a lot of your feedback and also interaction through the chat box. We actually have time since today we have another until 12:15, we have another 45 minutes. We have sufficient time. And for me, it's quite unique to get Joshua here. Then, if you have any questions, please feel free to put in the chat box and we will take it up. It's really a precious to have you. And while I listening to your sharing, I actually put up two things in the chat box. This is a special offer to the people here. It wasn't planned, but it's really inspired by you and take the immediate step to see how to foster the partnership. Maybe some of you is not familiar about who we are. You just come in because of you see the topic is relevant or your friends invited to you. So I am the director of my SDG Academy. We actually work together with multi-stakeholders, with member of parliaments, with CSO academicians in advancing the SDG, especially in the capacity building. So together with many organizations, if you can see, supported by PPMPL and then Malaysia Association of Social Work, YKPM, Malaysia Care, DOMC, MCKL, PPP, MPL, all the logos there, and also his team, we actually have the pillars on developing professional social worker. All right, so that's the reason why we have this series. And at the present moment, my SDG Academy is funded by government. So we have a series of capacity building opportunity. So upcoming on the 14th of May, it's a Thursday, next month, 14th of May, we actually have a ESG and SGG training. All right. It is targeted private sector organizations who want to adopt ESG and SDG. But I think with what I learned from Joshua just now, it is about good stewardship. And therefore, if anyone who are listening to this webinar who are joining online, if you are interested to really adopt what is SDG, ESG, especially ESG, how to run your organizations in a sustainable way, understanding the social domain, environment domain, and government domain, operation it in a sustainable way, you are most welcome to join us. The original price is 900. So we have an introductory price to the market is 400. But special for this webinar because of Joshua, I just cut it. Okay, Joshua sharing is a commitment fee 100 ringgit. If you feel that your organization is really keen to learn and you really want to learn, but yeah, at the present moment you don't have the budget for it, please negotiate with me. That is not the problem. My heart is to get people who really want to learn can go through a structured training. It's a 1 full day training. In the second link, that is a join WhatsApp group. So if you haven't joined our WhatsApp group and you feel that this community may be helpful for you to continue develop, you want to get the update about this community, to get support, not growing alone, you're not in a lonely journey we have together, please join the WhatsApp group. We will share more information there. And in the WhatsApp group, you'll find the admin, you will find me. All right. So please let us build the ecosystem that could empower one another. All right, thank you, Irene. And I also see Rosalind that Josh, you are so passionate about your work. Okay, so the questions come. How to keep the passion alive despite burnout and even could support from those beneath? Over to you, Joshua.
Thanks, Rosalind, for the question, and thank you so much for acknowledging. I think it's very encouraging to see that. And I think how to keep the passion alive. What for me personally, what was really helpful was having peers who I can talk and cry as well. I think I cry a lot frankly speaking, in serving. It can be stressful. There can be so many things that will be stressful. But one thing I love in care is the peers that I have. I'm the youngest management team, and when I first joined the management team, I felt like, oh, I'm so young. And then all these people, like all the Sifu, all the seniors, can I talk to them? And thankfully I can. And that was a big relief to me and a big encouragement to me as well to get me going, because they know that I know how to do the job. But what I really need was the support, the emotional support on my side. And I think that is the culture that we have in care also. that it should not be like that. Management and staff, or management to management and ED, we all must come together and take care of one another. And so that is very much part and parcel of the culture, the work culture that we have in care. I think another way that is also important for me in terms of how to keep to run far is to always pause once in a while and ask, why am I doing what I do? And whenever I stop feeling passionate or whenever I stop loving what I do, that is a very important indicator for me to pause and reground myself. I will be very upfront to my team and say that, I don't see the purpose. I cannot see how this is important. Help me to understand. And that always gives me the drive and the energy that I need to push and to carry on faithfully. Yeah.
All right, to have friends together, and togetherness, so solidarity. So you can join us. We are your friends in this community, right? To cry together, to learn together. Dr. Teo is a good friend and a good mentor, I would say. All right. I see Ash questions about trying to join the WhatsApp group. Need admin approval. I think you are in. I saw your number 4604. Okay, so that is the questions on the chat box by Erin, and also a feedback by Mr. Carradine. As Mr. Carradine is saying that agree on the value-driven missions, right, and include respect, trust, and compassion. It's truly the flow of actually the petrol keep us moving. Right. So the next speaker I will invite by 11:50. I will invite the next speaker by 11:50. We still have some time, so if you have any questions to Joshua, welcome to put it in the chat box. Then also, I would like to encourage everyone to be prepared before I invite the next speaker at around 11:50, 10 minutes later. I will call for a group photos. All right. So I will call for a group photos before to invite the next speakers. If you would like to use our backdrop, virtual backdrop, you're most welcome. Sapar, please share again the backdrop to everyone. And if you want to make up, you have 10 minutes to go. No lah. Just like what. All right. Okay, so let me go back to the questions and also invite Joshua to answer to Irene questions. What is the definition of stewardship? What is a good characteristic of a good steward, and how do you spot it when wrong?
All right. Thanks, Irene, for the question. This is a tough one, I guess. And I think I must mention also that CARE is a faith-based organization. We serve all Malaysians nonetheless. But our understanding in terms of our faith and how that drives our value of stewardship is really answering this one question. And if you believe that for us, if you believe that all of creation, everything, including people, are created by God, so we believe, then we must take care of them in the highest order, in the highest way, in the best way possible. And that is personally how I define stewardship. Taking care of things, being accountable in the way I take care of those things, in the way that would approve of the higher being, God in this case. So in the case of stewardship, is really being accountable of the things that is entrusted to us, whether it is few or whether it is a lot. And ensuring that every cent, if you're talking about funding, every cent, every dollar is spent with purpose and meaningfully as well, without wastage. So I think the characteristic of a good steward and how to spot it went wrong. I think characteristic-wise, someone earlier mentioned about integrity. Integrity. And I think this is something that we have to reflect a lot in CARE. Whenever we face difficult questions about integrity, we must have a space we can reflect those challenges and process it together as well. And to acknowledge there is challenges at times towards being a good steward. But what we really emphasize in CARE is values, integrity, that we are people who say what we mean. Whenever we agree with a funder or with a grant, for example, that we say we will do this, then we must be people who say we do what we do. And whenever such things doesn't happen, be it in a small way, like you promise something to a donor to follow up, or you promise something to a partner to follow up, and those were not followed through, we will talk about that. There's no hiding to that. We must talk about that. I myself also, at times, even my own executive director will bring me to his room and tell me, the day you promised A and B, but you didn't follow through. What's going on? So we don't allow even things like this to happen. We must be people who say and mean what we say by in our action. Yeah. Yeah. In the shortest way,
Thank
I
you.
can answer that. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. To be a good steward, the manager of the resources. Joshua is from the faith-based organization. I want to tease a bit of Dr. Teo. Dr. Teo suddenly like being called without any pre-notice. But Dr. Teo, I would like to listen to your perspective on these questions. Is that possible? Dr. Teo is one of our very senior social workers, and also now is like leading the Malaysian Association of Social Workers. And it's not a faith-based organizations, but how these questions is actually relevant. I'll call you in 1 minute, so I'll give you some time to prepare yourself. And also, then the next question I will back to Joshua. Joshua, Shreya have a very interesting questions. So I will invite you to answer this question after Dr. Teo perspective. We give him some time to prepare. Okay. Shreya question is, you mentioned briefly about how your founding strategy involved contacting the diaspora. So some details of it. Okay, so I will come back to that questions after Dr. Teo perspective. Right. So Dr. Teo, may I have you on the line? Okay, hi, good to see you
Hi,
because
hi,
I really
Zoel.
appreciate how Dr. Teo
Okay, good morning.
dedicated to this. Yes,
Okay,
Dr.
good
Teo.
morning. Good morning, Zoel.
Money.
Sorry. Um, okay, there are a few questions up here. So I'm not sure. Maybe I, you know, missed some of the points. But very specifically, what do you want me
Very
to
specifically, that
uh,
Print has asked this question. Is the definition of stewardship and the good characteristic of
okay.
a stewardship. And Joshua have shared from the perspective of a faith-based organizations, how to manage the resources, be trustworthy and integrity. But how about you? Do you, in your perspective?
I think Joshua has what do you call? I'm very impressed. Yeah, and it, a lot of reflection. Okay, as I listen to Joshua's sharing. I think regardless of whether you are just joining or you are, in the leadership role, I think when you want to be active in especially in care, social care or voluntary work, there's people overlook the importance of values. Okay, because that drives people. Why you want to join, because there's certain things that you believe in. Okay, it's just that when from I just trying to recall how I get into this this field, because just the value is that I want to serve. Okay, it's very basic. I never thought of I want to lead. Okay, I just want to serve. Okay, so this is how I come into social work. Okay, although my first degree was not in social, but along the way when I was studying in university, I want to do something that I can serve the community. Okay, so that's where I changed my field when I was doing my postgraduate. So I think that is very important. Okay, it's just that I think for stewardship, people in the leadership role, is that how you maintain that values.
Hmm.
Okay, and you can not only, because last time when you want to, you want to contribute, is only yourself. But when it comes to your leadership, then you have to develop mission, and then you need to inspire, and you need to organize people. Okay, journey along this field. So this is something that I think that is very important.
Thank you, Dr. Teo. I truly agree. For like as a good steward, to manage the resources well is one thing. But from what I learned from Dr. Teo through the journey, 2 years we get to know one another and through the journey together. I think be the good person to encourage. Some people, when you just being together, you feel empowered. You feel you are not alone. And I think that is also a good steward, that whenever we want to start something, we call Dr. Teo. Dr. Teo will dedicate and make it like, okay, I'm not alone, I can make it happen. That's why this is also one of the reasons why I want to queue Dr. Teo up, and also to introduce him to everybody, that he had lived out a good steward. life as a very empowering as partners. Right? Then also Joshua has been sharing a lot of knowledge, experience. So last question before we go to Puan Rajani, that and also to the group photos. So Joshua, what is your response to Shreya question?
Thank you for the question. So, if I can just mention briefly, actually, it's very, very simple and straightforward. We started with the people that we know already. Again, as I mentioned, like former staff, right, who migrated maybe to Australia or to a different country because they get married or they found a working opportunity elsewhere. We started with them, and even within our donor database as well, to communicate this vision that we have with those that we know have networks outside of Malaysia as well. And from there, we actually intentionally approach these potential donors to share this vision with them. Ultimately, what we really want are people who shares the same value and understand this vision together with us. So it's not just any donor, but people who can really be that advocate for Malaysia in the country that they are in, among the community that they live in, because they live again among circles of Malaysians in the different country that they are in as well. So we want to win the people as well and get them to understand the vision and share this with them, and then they in turn will connect us with more people who may be interested in their opinion to join hands together with us. So it's really like that, starting very simple from this network and building on that value that we already have internally.
Awesome. Thank you, Joshua. And also from the sharing of Joshua to answering this question and the previous sharing, I actually want to highlight one thing. I'm not sure that for those who are listening to this webinar, do you build your stakeholders database? Actually, that is very important that you have your stakeholders database and you continue to build on it. So when you share something, you can at least has a base, community base, and they'll help you to expand. That is really important. All right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, actually that's very important because I think I learned from a mistake as well of actually talking to someone that I didn't know they had history with care. So it's quite embarrassing as well. That was a learning point for myself. And what we do today is before we even go to the donor, we look at our databases sometimes to study the people that we will be meeting. And if really we found that this person have a history of supporting care in the past, we want to make sure that that is mentioned and that is appreciated for. And I think that really helps people to feel that they are valued as well. They're not just there to talk about money or resources, but they are valued as a person. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much. Indeed. So actually, into working on this current economy, in the work in helping the community, that is an important element of value. We have the right value. We are passionate to do it. But another side of it is we need to technically know how to manage and operate the organizations, stakeholders management, project management, etc. And therefore, a structured training is important. So I'm now linking to the next speakers, Puan Rajani, to actually guide us through and share with us about the Malaysia Care, what structured trainings that potentially can actually help us to develop as a professional social workers. So now, everybody, I would give a short introduce to Puan Rajani, but at the same time, I would like you to prepare yourself as well, because before I hand over the stage to Puan Rajani, then we will take a group photos first. Okay, so prepare yourself in 1 minute, and I encourage you to on your camera to prepare to take the group photos. So now, a little bit background of Puan Rajani. I personally feel that she is a very humble person. When I have a chance to talk with her, she is just be grounded, patient to listen to all the ideas that you have. But when I read her profile, it's so impressive. Okay, Puan Rajani is the program leader and lecturer for the Diploma in Social Work program at Methodist College, Kuala Lumpur. She is very experienced in the social work professional, extensive expertise in A, designing and implementing social development. B, very important, is have about the project evaluations, the impact evaluations. She is also served in the consultants with various UN agency and also involved in the international and national NGO. So I really looking forward to hear from her. So before Rajani come up, let's prepare for a group photos, just a very quick group photos to pictures and also for me to see you. Hi, Lida. I see you. Orange Ong, I see you. Oh, Mr. Khairuddin, our trainer for logical framework. Dustin from Borneo. Nice to see you all and really glad that you are here. And okay, so we are ready. So for those who are not convenienced to on your camera, we do understand, but we are capturing your name. All right, so far, over to you.
Yep,
Hey, hi,
everyone.
Fadila is on. Oh, hi, Guna. Nice to see you. Fadila is driving. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay. We have a new friend, Rosalie. Okay. All right. 1, 2, 3. One more. Last. 1, 2. Teal is in. 1, 2. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Teal. Nice to see you. All right. Okay. So next, as I introduced just now, so we have the program leads for the Diploma of Social Work from the MCKL, Puan Rajani, as the next speakers to share with us about the structured training that offered by the community. Over to you, Puan Rajani.
Thank you, Zoel, for the warm welcome. Sharing my slide first. All right. Right. I hope you're all able to hear me. And thank you for joining the session today. First of all, I'd like to share my gratitude for inviting me for such a session and able to share what our college, Methodist College of Kuala Lumpur, does in the social work sector of, so what we offer is diploma in social work, but I'm a lecturer there and I also lead the program. I'd like to start with a story. So long ago, how the social work program came up in MCKL was there's a group of NGOs who were interested in equipping all the NGO staff with proper skills, knowledge, mindset and all that. So that's how it was formally, initially formed. Then what happened was MCKL has the value of giving back to society. So when this group of NGOs came together, and Dr. Theo can correct me if my story goes wrong. So they had approached Methodist College, and then the college was, offered the support there. And then we went into accreditation, and that is how this program has been offered. We have been offering this education since 2017. So you can see that we have the same joint committee members and also added members who serve as our advisory board. So they give us those kind of expertise knowledge as to how the social work education has to be changed. What are the things that we need to include in our education so that our graduates, when they come out into the field, are very well established with their skill and mindset. Okay, moving on, I would also like to share what social work is all about. Whenever you talk about social work, there are a lot of social workers around. That is so true because in general, I feel human beings, they would like to help others. That feeling of that sense of happiness that you get when you have helped somebody and then they show the gratitude, or even if they do not show, just the feeling that you've been able to help somebody, that is there inherent in all of us. So social work is one such profession. That is why it's called a practice-based profession. But then it doesn't stop just there. It's also an academic discipline. That means there's a lot of research, there's a lot of studies going on to develop the discipline as such, social work discipline as such. The main focus of this is empowerment of the people. So when you're talking about empowerment, it's just not changing a person. Let's say you look at a person and you feel that, oh, this person needs to be changed. No, it's not that. It is actually empowering the person to change his mindset, his way of life, so that along with his surroundings, How can he move forward? So that is what the social work profession is all about. Moving on to our, sorry. Are you able to see the slides?
Yes, we can. It's a slide
Okay.
number 1.
Yeah,
it's
now I've moved to
going
the second one. Yeah. All right. So for the diploma, currently what we offer is the studies are for part-time mode. So this is keeping in tune with our initial concept of equipping NGO staff who are already working, but then they feel that they need more and more skills. They need more knowledge base to work in the sector. So for that, this is run as a part-time. So it happens to support this need that is there among the NGO staff. We also offer micro-credentials, which is studying just one of subject that is provided. So let's say you feel that you need to know more about ethical practice, then you would join a course that offers just that. So it is not going through the whole diploma, but just you are taking one of subjects which is of interest to you. Whenever we talk about NGO sector, when we formally started, it was always the NGO staff who were already working. But surprising to find even school leavers, SPM, leavers, quite young, they come into this field. So that kind of energy and passion that they have for making these kind of changes in the society is very welcoming and very surprising as well. Wanted to give you a little bit about the core subjects that we offer. So we offer in a wide range, it's quite comprehensive. It goes from the knowledge base where you are, the students are given information on the basics of psychology, sociology, and also generally about what a professional social work is all about. Then we also move on and equip students with certain particular skills. This is interpersonal and counseling skills, as well as writing. Now, when you talk about writing, people will be like, why writing in social work? Because social work is all doing, right? But then when it comes to, I'm borrowing from Mr. Joshua's, talk, sustainability, accountability, all that. You need to show your funders that you are accountable. How do you show them you're accountable? You show your documentation. You need to document each one of your events, your projects, and say how are you reaching your goal. So that is very important. It is how you are skilled in writing a proper book. Same way, how are you skilled in writing a proper project report? So those kinds of skills are given. And then also using art in social work practice. So how do you use certain special skills? So we have therapists coming in and giving this kind of knowledge to our students as well. We also focus on the basic 3 approaches on which a social work practice goes on, which is case work, group work, as well as community. So basically, when you look at it, it is working or bringing interventions or changes in a person's life based on the different approaches that you will have at an individual level, at a group, and also at a community level. So based on the NGO that you're working on, these 3 approaches will benefit you. So special skills are also given and shared with the students this way. Another part we also have is certain specialized area which we share knowledge with the students. So we have on child and family welfare, on mental health aspects, addiction also. Focus is also there on working with victims who are being affected due to or who are survivors of domestic violence, working with the aging and elderly community, and also those with disabilities. These are some of our core specialized areas of subjects that we offer. So if you are interested, then these are areas where you could gain more knowledge and skills. So it, like Zoel mentioned earlier, it's also important that you know how an organization is run, what are the do's and don'ts. So for that aspects, and also for understanding your value system, the ethical practice, the integrity of doing things, all that is covered in policy and conduct. And just to make sure that our students are reaching all these areas properly, we have two placements, placement 1 and 2, where they focus on different areas. Now, to give you an idea about how the classes are, usually it is weekday nights, so it goes as online classes. Saturdays are generally face-to-face classes, and depending upon the subjects offered, it varies from each semester, depends on what we are offering currently to the students, depending upon the schedule they are in. And also, do you have any inquiries, you can definitely contact my colleague, Ms. Samantha. She will be able to guide you better on more information about the course and other details that you would need. So with this, I end my presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Puan Rajani, for sharing the course. Actually, be very frank, the course is not available for now. The reason being is we need to get at least 12 people to commit, then only we can open the course. But why we are doing this series of webinar is because it has been 10 years ago, we see the needs of being a proper training, to get our social worker to be a proper trained, and the people, you see the logos there, they believe in these visions, they come together and try to make it happen. But that the response is not ideal in the past. We have to say that maybe a lot of factors, but we are seeing that maybe with the bill coming up and the professionalism is needed, this course may have the value. Frankly speaking, I think we are still exploring whether the diploma is workable, is what the current community needs. And therefore, we wish to explore together with you. In another nutshell, to say that all the resource persons are here. But what method really benefit with the current needs? We need to identify it together, because the people, you who are dedicating your Friday together with us, are the people that we feel that we are here to develop this community together, whether we can leverage on the resources that we have. In what way? We are really open for discussions. We don't have a fixed mind, it must be this way or that way. But we're just saying that with the resources by given to us, we are trying to share with the platform. So I'm very open to actually discuss if you have any ideas. Let's see how we can work it together. If you feel that a structured diploma is workable, is really beneficial, we are actually prepared. We have established the track of it. Then we get the 12 people to make it happen. Then if not, then we go for micro-credentials. Or you feel that having webinar like this to speak, to have a chance to meet different resource persons, to have a money cash up is benefit, then we do that. Or you have better ideas, let us know. We do it together. The only things in our heart is we see that Malaysia cannot work in silo. We can work in together, and why not we work together? We can actually learn from one another. Why not we learn from one another? We can work with a team. Why we work in person, in silo? All right, we believe in this and we are trying to build this. So once again, I encourage you to join our community WhatsApp group if you are open to explore this journey together. The WhatsApp group, be rest assured, you will receive good morning, Selamat Hari Raya and Christmas celebrations notice. That only admin can post. We will post relevant informations. And also, if you feel that to have a discussion, brainstorm together, let's brainstorm together. And also, Puan Rajani, maybe we have to make it very clear, because at first when I joined this community, I get confused as well. Is that MCKL and this diploma is only for Christian base? Okay, please,
Yeah.
I think this is very important to clarify. Okay, since we have like church and what, but actually Dr. Teo also not a Christian. Okay, it's a professional base. So let us clarify these things.
Yeah.
All right,
Sure.
Rajani.
It's just that the education is provided by a Christian missionary group, but then education is similar, given to everybody. I think you would know the different, A levels and the other programs that we offer, which is open to everybody. Similarly, we also have, this kind of education given to everybody. It's just the name and not the education as such affected by the religion you follow. So everybody is, welcome to learn.
So this is not only Christians. Honestly, education is for SDG 4 SDG 4. All right. So thank you so much, and thank you for everyone who joined us. Before we leave, before we end the sessions, do you have any questions? If you have, maybe you can unmute yourself and then introduce yourself, and then we can take 1 or 2 questions. Is there any? One would like to unmute and say a few words to ask or give feedback? I saw Asha. Asha, nice to see you. Good to see your faces. Get to know more and more of our community. Yes, Asha, over to you.
I typed this in the chat, but I can assure people that the course in MCKL is rights-based and evidence-based. It is not faith-based, so it applies to everyone. In fact, one of my classmates is from the Muslim faith, a fellow graduate of the course. But the problem with most full-time workers is that we cannot spare. There's nobody to cover for us when we attend the courses. So I would encourage an exploration with all the training institutes and universities, to think about distance learning program. Because at least with distance learning program, let's say if you're in a home when the elderly people or the children are asleep, you can get on with your learning, and so that would be a more practical solution for qualifying people who are in full-time work.
Right, we'll take note of that, the methodology, also how to engage. Thank you so much. Rajani, would you have any response, or we take note of this input?
No, for now, because it's part-time, half of it is definitely done on a part-time basis. But then we do, take note of what Asha is saying. But certain subjects require the face-to-face discussion on certain aspects. So that is why currently we are on this double mode of both part-time and full-time, but then that is something we could explore later as well as a full-time online mode. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. So from the secretarial perspective, what we're doing also from last month until July, we actually have monthly webinar to raise awareness and then to build the community through our email-based, WhatsApp-based. So what we are going to do is in July, we will do a need analysis and also a market survey. What methodologies, what is needed at this moment, then we will discuss back with MCKL and see how we can journey together for the next phase. All right, so and therefore let me share one information in the in the chat box, which is on the 8th of May 2026. Same time. Our time is 11 a.m. Okay, I'll keep it very precise. By 12:50 we were off. Okay, so the next webinar we will talk about the social work and localization of SDG, empowering the local community. So if we'll share the more marketing informations in the WhatsApp group and email later. But at the moment, you may block your time, and if you know someone who are interested in empowering local community and also in SDG, you are most welcome to let them to block the time as well. So we have speakers who have worked with thousands of communities, 1,000 projects, yes, in the communities that the lesson learned. All right, so the last questions, maybe Rajani, then we will end today's questions. Rosalie is asking about having a diploma in social work. Can one be a practitioner or need to be licensed, registered in Social Work Malaysia?
So for us, as such, we do not have a professional, touch to it yet, because the social workers bill is yet to be passed. That said, having a diploma is one of the starting steps that you would have moving towards a social worker. So because the bill is in discussion and not passed yet, so I think we cannot say in a manner that you need to be what you call registered, but that is the way moving forward. Once the bill comes in practice, then this graduates will be considered as practitioners or social work practitioners. It would come as a requirement that every NGO needs to have one. That is the theme with which this Social Workers Association is working on. Dr. Thea, would you like to add anything?
Dr. Teo always suddenly being cute. Okay.
Okay, sorry.
All
Just
right.
I had some problem with to unmute. Okay. As for every professional, okay, in Malaysia, yeah, if you're professional, most likely you have a parliament law. Yeah, it's a legal, what you call is a legislation that regulate that profession. So this is what MASW and the social profession has been pushing for the last 16 years, yeah, since 2010. It's pending. Yeah. So what would happen is that if the law is passed, yeah, then we have a social profession law, then there will be a regulator, okay, that will regulate, yeah, the qualification and practice of the professionals. Yeah. So for what we have been working is that we push that the minimum is a diploma. Okay. Okay, I mean, you say in future, yeah, in future. At the moment, because the law is still has yet to go to Parliament, so what will happen is that this is what I will foresee is that once the bill is passed, then the government will set up a regulatory body, and then they will go through with stakeholders to see what are the qualifications that will be regulated, to be recognized as social workers. So definitely the diploma in social work from MCKL will be there. Okay, so I think this is so as much as I know. Yeah, you can see that a lot of other professionals, they also move from after 10, 20 years they'll move forward and do what they call the enhance. Yeah, for instance, I'm just taking some time. Yeah, for instance, in the US, they are regulating social workers. They only license social workers with a bachelor degree and a master's degree. Okay, but in some other countries that we have seen is that they also regulate diploma. So that's where we are going from, because I think from Malaysia's context, we at the moment we have three private colleges that offer diploma. Yeah, MCKL was the first, and then we also have Methodist Pillay Institute in Cebu. There's also offering diploma in social work, and then in KL there's Uni Razak. Yeah, so that's how. So basically, when the law is there, then the what they call the regulatory body will announce. Yeah, they will compile the list, and then they will announce, okay, which are the qualification that will be recognized. Okay.
Thank you so much, Dr. Teo. I saw Asha Hansai, but I also saw that the time is clicking and over. So then perhaps, Asha, we can have a separate discussion since it's a Q&A. All right, because I want to, maybe some other speakers have different arrangement. But anyhow, I would like to say that this is the community to be to come together as a social worker to train to be professionals. And many of us is working in the policy advocacy arena as well. And therefore, I welcome you to be part of it, to work together, to shape the community together, to shape the program together. I think this is not just for capacity building, but we are building a community. All right, so thank you very much for all who have joined us today, and take notes that the next webinar will be on the 8th May, 11 a.m. We'll talk about localization of SDG and empowering the community. Thank you very much, and once again, welcome to join our WhatsApp group. And now you can unmute yourself, use your own language, can be any language, to say goodbye to one another. 谢谢你们，拜拜，再见。
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Joel. Okay, thank you.
谢谢你们，拜拜。
Thank you all. Yeah, thank you, Rajani, for
Thank you.
today's sharing. Thank
Sure.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Thank you. Terima kasih. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Okay, thank you.
Proses.
Thank you.